Hey guys, it's Reese. I'm in Findlay, Ohio right now on my grandpa's property. He lives in Benton Ridge, which is pretty much known as Findlay, but it really is outside of it. Straight winds and short amounts of tornadoes just went through this area and knocked down houses, knocked down trees, ripped off roofs, and destroyed furniture, outdoor stuff. It's all field around here. Take a look. Well, you can see behind me there's tons of trees and weird. It really is just, it's all falling apart. But it's an older area anyway. You know what I'm saying. It's not unusual to have stuff falling down. We've been working on the youth house, which their church has recently bought. It's just a rundown house, and the guy actually died, and nobody knew about it for like 5 years. So they cleaned up the house. I helped clean up the house, but all the shingles that we had just put up on the house were ripped off. So I spent like a couple hours fixing that. We put tarps down. We haven't put any shingles up because it's like 100 degrees out here. Way too hot to be putting up shingles. So we just nailed down tarps to the roof. This is his property right here. Well, most of it. This is the second half that he bought a couple years after my mom moved out. We've been working on cleaning up sticks. It's pretty much clean now. It's just the big willow tree right there. Most of the limbs were knocked off. It used to be a lot fuller. And this was all just, it did not look like it did now. This tree here was completely snapped off. And this is his greenhouse, what you're seeing. This is not his house. It's like his garage, pretty much. So, back here is his garden, that I've told some of you about. It's pretty big. This is where he grows his food. He has stuff growing everywhere. And there's a pile of limbs that we took out. In the front yard, he has 3 larger trees where most of the limbs were knocked off of. His crabapple in the very front did not have any damage to it at all. And that's what's happening around here. There's a lot of odd amounts of destruction, and some things were spared, like simple tree sets. Like the tree fort's made of pine. You'd think we get knocked down instantly. They're all fine. No damage done. And then houses are carried away. It's very strange. But I've been working out here for a couple days. We've been cleaning up. It's been very hot. My grandparents have had no electricity since then. They just got it back last night, which is great. They had their air conditioning and all their food is getting cooled down again. It's very hot. Since they've had no electricity, barely any water pressure, so it's just about as hot inside as it is outside. At certain points in time, it's hotter inside. And, my grandparents are in their 60s. They're having a very hard time dealing with that. And so I've been up here helping them do stuff. Grandpa's having a hard time. It overheats and such. Here, there's still a lot of sticks. These are the 3 pines that didn't have any damage. I don't know what those are. But this is the mulberry that had to be cut down. It snapped, and if it had gone any further, it would have done some damage to the other trees around it. This is the original property. And I'll show you where the pile was. Me and my cousin, we picked up these limbs, and we're just hanging everywhere, in the street even. We piled them by this post over here. Not a terrible amount of damage, really, but around this area, the houses weren't damaged as much. On the road that I started on, if you go in the direction I was walking away from, and then take a left, there's the church, just about 2 minutes away from my grandpa's house. It's pretty cool. It's a really old church. And in that direction. And the house across from it, all of the 5 trees surrounding it were knocked down. But none of them hit the house. So we helped clean that up a little bit. And have been a really good help. But we've been praying for these guys here. Everybody here is, none of them are younger. They've been around here for a long time, never moved out. They've stayed in Findlay. And mostly in Baton Rouge. There's no young families, really, in Baton Rouge, so we've been helping them out. I fixed this bench here with my cousin. The back had broken off half of the seat. This right here broke off. We had to nail that back in. Shutters were all blown off. And a lot had to be cleared away just because it was all knocked off. And the horse flies were all biting us during this. Terrible, really. But in the backyard, next to the pool, my grandpa has a pergola. And by the pergola, there's just like open area, so the wind just passed right through it and knocked the pergola halfway crooked. This is the garden that I planted recently, if I told you about it. It's grown a ton. These are the big bushes. This is the second half of the property bought later. These are the garden. See all these flowers? I planted these recently, the last month or two. And they've grown a lot since we planted them. This is my grandpa's garden house / garage thing that he built after my mother moved out. And I think my uncle was just moving out. Maybe he was in high school still. This is the greenhouse area. It's really hot in here. He starts off all of his plants. He gets them going. He has about 10 aloe plants like this one here, and they've been growing. This one is about 5 years old, and these have been growing for about a year. I'll show you the one that's been growing for a long time, though. It's about 15 years old. I couldn't believe it when he told me. I love playing with my grandpa. He does it for a long time. See this here? This is 15 years old. It's enormous. These things do not get that big. It's crazy how old it is. This is only about 5 years old. Those two right there. His lamp, here's a flag post right there, was crooked. So we had to take it out and put it back on the ground. Tons of damage. But not to my grandpa's property. It wasn't as bad as what others have been. Mostly because he has a lot more trees blocking his house. And his trees are in good shape. None of them are dying or dead. They're all alive. And a lot of the trees that have been knocked down onto houses have been ash trees. And if you didn't know, there is a bug called emerald ash borer. And it's been killing these ash trees. And you can't even tell unless you get right up close and you can see the streaks. Or it's almost like a termite. And it kills it and they just knock down whenever they want to. Right there, the blue building, if you can see it. I don't know if you can. That's the firehouse where my grandpa used to work as a volunteer firefighter. I guess that's all I can show you on this property. But I don't even know if you guys have heard, because in Perrysburg and in Toledo, we didn't even know this was happening. We didn't even get dark winds or anything when this was all going on. I had no idea this even happened until my grandpa called me down. He told me that like houses have been knocked down, roofs, trees, cars. I had no idea. I'm like, okay, I'll go down and help you out, because I guess nobody else was even doing anything because they had no idea. And then recently, Toledo's power had been knocked out too from wind. So, thanks for watching. Continue to pray for the people here, because a lot of them still don't have power. And the people who have been able to afford it are working on generators. But that's still an expensive job and lots of work. Thanks for praying, guys.